What's up, Jacob? Yep, we're all good. All is good. All is good. All is good. All right, we are live. Welcome, everyone, to episode 6 of the Cup of Coffee podcast. I'm your host, Craig Maddox, along with my co host, Joel Hartman. You can find him on Instagram and his antics on TikTok at Hardy02. Make sure you give him
Antics
a
is a
follow.
strong word.
Well, just antics as in things you do, not in negative connotation.
I
Just
know. It's okay.
the interesting life of Joel Hartman can be found at Hardy02. Um, so welcome everybody. Welcome everybody who's tuning in live. Um, let's get right into it.
Let's do it.
So, as you were kind of discussing earlier, uh, yesterday, after kind of a week of anticipation, the Players Union sent over a proposal to Major League Baseball that outlines somewhat of a, I think, 114 game season.
Yeah. Starting June
114 game
30th.
season starting June 30th, going into October 31st. Um,
Halloween baseball.
with a basically an opt out for players who don't want to play. So if they have health reasons or health concerns, they have an opt out. There's a lot of other stuff in there. So the initial thought is we're moving forward and there's a good possibility of a major league season. What do you think?
I mean, I was just reading this right here. It said that the union's proposal says that any players who are deemed high risk or who live with someone high risk can opt out and receive both service time and pay. And then all others can opt out as well, but would only receive service time, not pay. So that's interesting. So you could go a whole year and opt out and still get accrued those those games, those days to your career, even though you didn't play.
Yeah, I think that's going to be a tough pass from the owners to say, hey, we're going to basically lose leverage on a guy
Who doesn't even put up? Who
who
doesn't even
doesn't
make me any money?
make you any money. We're going to lose arbitration years
I mean,
and
at the end of the day,
things
MLB is
like
trying
that.
to do what's best for MLB.
No doubt about it.
I mean,
And the thing is, we've come out and been very pro player on this podcast, at least, and um, through what we do here at Prospect Dugout. But I think over the course of the last week, with the things that have happened within our country, I think that my attitude has changed towards I think we do need sports. And I think health things aside, um, you know, I think if the health stuff goes away or subsides a bit, then the players definitely need to come back because people need something to rally around that's positive, and sports is kind of that outlet. If you
mm-hmm,
look back at September 11th
mm-hmm.
when baseball came back, it kind of united the country. And what are your thoughts? I think Major League Baseball, if they don't, for some reason, if the players and the owners can't come to an agreement, I think they're losing out on a massive opportunity to come back and be that binding piece that people respect.
Mm-hmm.
So, but switching lanes a little bit and getting off of Major League Baseball, some other news came out last week that started, more Twitter uproar and things like that with a lot of minor league players getting their release last week
Mm-hmm.
and a lot of uproar. So initial like right out the gate, you read all these minor league players are getting released. What are you thinking?
Um, I'm thinking that, like I said, it's a business, so they have to protect their bottom line, because here's the bottom line for real. If they go out of business, those guys ain't going to play anyway. The whole point, it's nothing against those players. It has nothing to do with the players. It has everything to do with the current situation, the current climate. I mean, you've got riots across the country, people gathering in large areas. And then on the other hand, you've got ultra conservative people not wanting to have too many people in a restaurant or not want to have too many people in a stadium. So, really it comes down to the businesses are trying to save their business. And so if you get rid of your players and you don't have to pay the players, you still have the opportunity, the option, the ability to come back and bounce back next year. But if you blow it right now, then it's really hard to come back from, especially when you're not getting any help from Major League Baseball. When they're dragging their feet. Like I'm looking at this thing right here on the Athletic. The players would also agree to provide a baseline number of commitments to broadcast enhancements, including in-game microphone usage and special programming away from the ballpark. In addition, the proposal allows for the possibility of an off-season home run derby and all-star game. Like, why is this coming in a proposal? Like, you're losing minor league players. You're cutting 42 MLB minor league teams next year. You don't even have a season this year. You're coming up with like, a baseline number of commitments to broadcast enhancements, including in-game microphone usage. Like people have been calling for that for the past couple of years. Like, you're going to toss that in there as a special. Maybe that's what's going to, put the MLB overboard. Like, I think that they're worried about themselves and not worried about the game itself.
Right. And we try to look at it from two people who've been in the game for a long time and have been on the side that most players go through as they get released.
Mm-hmm.
And I think the general public and everybody who's listening out there needs to understand that this time of year, June 1, a ton of minor league players get released every June because the major league draft's coming up.
You're gonna clear roster space.
These guys that are getting released, yeah, they're upset because they haven't had that opportunity to play in April and May and maybe change somebody's mind. But the reality is they were going to get released anyway. And it's tough for me to see people jump on the side of minor league players now when this is nothing new in the space. And nobody, in 2009, when I got released from the Braves, I didn't see anybody griping on Twitter because, Craig Maddox and a slew of other folks got released right before the draft in 2009. And the fact that a lot of these players that are coming out and being very vocal on social media platforms, like go check their baseball reference. The fact is that these guys have been given every opportunity. They've been, one guy who was very vocal, he had like a 12 ERA in AAA. Like, dude,
remember
that's not going to cut it.
Yeah, there was something like that last year where somebody was complaining about something, but he had like a 6 ERA. I don't know. I can't remember what it was. But yeah, I get what you're saying.
Like, and I think, and we talk about that sometimes with the Giants organization, is because minor league baseball is so big and has gotten so big that a lot of times these players stick around and become complacent and they think, that they can hit 210 in AA and they expect to have a job again the next year. Like, that's ridiculous. Like, and maybe that's just the independent ball mentality that I've developed and you have and we have. But
I mean, you
if
just
you're
gotta
getting
face
210, like you shouldn't have a job the next
well,
year.
you got to face the facts. Like, and that's one of the things I don't like about travel ball is that players are being groomed to they're not being groomed to be successful at the next level, like what you're talking about right now. You can't hit 210 and think that you're being that you're not being given a fair shake. Like you're hitting 210, bro. There's plenty of people that can hit 210. I don't want people that can hit 210. I don't want a third string player. Like that's you got to play better. And if you're playing well and you're not getting, then I guess you got an argument. But no.
But I would dare you to go look at all the releases,
Hmm.
and I kind of went back at some some people on Twitter about, like, look at the releases.
Hmm.
Nobody, I would say, even in the top 50 prospects in any organization got released.
Hmm.
It was all dudes that it was coming. And, I saw another player, which just made me laugh, is he came out and said, I spend $150 a week training because we were told to stay ready, stay ready, stay ready. And I'm thinking to myself, who spends $150 a week? That's where the disconnect is. You're
Hmm.
training like a big league guy and spending money like a big league guy when
Hmm.
you're a minor league guy.
Hmm.
Like I spent
$0.
I spent $0. I spent 50. That's the thing, is I spent 50% of my career making $1,000 or less a
Yeah.
month.
Yeah.
So it's hard for me to sympathize with these guys because they want to live the life like a big leaguer
Hmm.
when they're an A-ball player. Like, learn how to do certain things so that when you get to the big leagues, you can adapt with the times. Like,
Hmm.
don't cry now, because these guys are getting, minor league players are getting $400 a week,
Hmm.
right?
Well, that kind of
For
stopped.
Right. Well, up until now,
Yep.
some guys are still getting
Miami's
it.
still getting paid through August.
Some organizations are paying, which is fantastic. It's great. They don't owe these players
They don't owe
anything,
them nothing, but
but the
they're doing it.
reality is that, $1,200. Most of these guys, that's what they would be making, right? So that's where the funds land. So
Hmm.
$1,200 a month. Well, these guys, which most, not all,
sixteen
live
hundred
at
dollars a
home.
month.
They live at home, right?
Hmm.
So they're banking right now, because if they were in their minor league season,
Hmm.
they would be paying for a place to live.
Hmm.
They would be paying clubhouse dues. They
Hmm.
would be paying for food. They
Hmm.
would be paying, like,
To go
all this
out,
stuff.
hang out.
Right.
Yeah.
So instead of complaining about $1,200, like, figure out a way to save it. Don't go out and blow $150. Like, dude, go to a gym and, like, work out on your own.
Hmm.
Like, if you're paying $150 for a trainer and you're even a double A guy, like, that's your problem.
Hmm.
And that's why these guys are coming out and being vocal on Twitter about, oh, I didn't get a fair shake. I didn't get a fair shake, because your mentality, you think you're a big leaguer and you're
Hmm.
not, and you don't understand how this stuff works. So I don't know what's your thoughts on minor league baseball. There's a lot of good going on. I mean, there's
Hmm.
major league players coming out and saying, hey, we're going to take care of these guys.
I
But
just think it is what it is. Like minor league baseball is not major league baseball. Minor league baseball is like you're a minor leaguer, like you're a rookie. You're not good. Like if you were good, you'd be in the big leagues. Like that's just the bottom line of it. So I think minor league baseball cannot be major league baseball. Minor league baseball has to have the sucky parts. I mean, if it doesn't, if minor league baseball is good, then why would you not be satisfied with being a minor league baseball? Like you want to get to major league baseball. You're not trying to be satisfied in minor league baseball. So it should be crappy bus rides. It should be, you know, crappy pay. It should be, I mean, I can see like in AAA, like some of these bigger franchises actually having, legitimate pay and a little bit more of a major league baseball feel. But like for the rest of the minor league baseball world, like, dude, like it should suck.
absolutely. Like, absolutely. And I think you hit it right on the head. Like, there's too much complacency in minor league baseball. There's too much, I expect to have a job. Like, I'm going to just do my thing. There's no sense of urgency. And I think
Hmm.
the best thing that's going to happen to baseball, and people are going to disagree with this, but cutting 42 minor league teams and
Oh, it's going to make it so much more
getting
competitive.
right. There's got to be a sense of urgency. And I talked to get players about this because we've talked to players that, oh, like that's just not fair. What's not fair? What's not fair? Like now instead of
Minor
you
league
floating
baseball
through the
owes you
minor
nothing.
leagues, right? Instead of you floating through the minor leagues and being complacent with hitting 210 and expect to be at spring training in 2021 or 2022 after
I
a
mean, it's
crap
not.
season,
Yeah.
like there's a sense of urgency. And why in minor league baseball why would we want them to relax in the mind? Because you go to the big leagues and you can't take a day off. Like there's no development. It's about what you're going to do.
Mm-hmm.
So why not instill that mentality in these players from the get-go?
Yeah, I don't think it has anything to do with that, though. I think maybe they just got a little out of hand when it came to the growth and expansion of minor league baseball, and they're realizing that, hey, there's a lot of bills to pay. Not like you could, I mean, I'm sure they're looking at percentages and numbers as well of guys that are getting called up to the big leagues, how many guys last, how many, like they have to look at that all, just like a high school kid would look at and say, okay, 0.001% or whatever it is, make it to professional baseball or make it to the big leagues. Like less than a percent actually. So like I feel like maybe they looked at those numbers and were like, okay, we've got all these teams, we're spending money, but there's absolutely no shot of these guys getting to the big leagues. Number two, they're not making us any money. And number three, it's more of a liability than it is a resource for us. So I think that's kind of where they're coming from, is that they're realizing, we could definitely make Major League Baseball better by, you're not getting rid of players. It has nothing to do with getting rid of players. It has everything to do with raising the bar when it comes to the ability level. So the players that are getting cut, the players that are getting released, it sucks, but you're not good enough to reach the new level of sustainability, of the new average, the new baseline, the new bottom line of this is what it takes to get to this level has now been increased. So I would actually be excited that, okay, yeah, I got released. That sucks, but let me work harder to be able to get back into it. If you don't get back to it, I guess that sucks as well. But for the guys that are coming up, like they've got to work harder. So this is an opportunity. This is a culture change. This is a shift. This is, the whole planet is acting differently now. So now, I mean, getting rid of the 42 teams was going to happen before we had this crisis, but now it's almost as if, that's playing right into it's almost like they planned that. It's weird.
Yeah, no, it is odd. And I don't want people listening out there to think that we're, just, hey, sorry, minor league guys, go figure it out and start a new career.
No,
Like
but it
there's
is though.
plenty of opportunities.
It is though.
Like,
I'm sorry, but go figure it out. We're in the same boat, bro. I mean, I'm not asking for sympathy from anybody of getting released, getting cut when I can see that I'm better than a player, but in the coach's eye, I'm not. So what am I going to do? Am I going to sit here and complain and say, oh, this and that? No, I wasn't good enough.
right. But what I'm saying is there are opportunities out there for guys that do get released. We're not trying to say, hey, minor league guy, sorry, like
Mm-hmm.
times are changing. There are opportunities. And at Prospect Dugout, that's what we're here for, is providing opportunities. And that's why we teamed up with the Atlantic League to do
Mm-hmm.
our player mini camp, to provide those opportunities for those overlooked players, because there is going to be that guy
Mm-hmm.
that gets released and maybe he was complacent. Maybe he was
Yeah.
just going through the motions, and that kind of lights a fire under him.
Yep.
And now he's got opportunities. You can go to the Atlantic League and hone those opportunities. You can go to the American Association Frontier League.
Yeah.
There's numerous independent ball opportunities. But when you go to those things, like, it is a grind.
Oh yeah.
Like, it's even more of a grind than minor league baseball. But like, don't let, if you still have that desire to play, and for me personally, like the last time I was in a affiliated baseball was 2009.
Mhm.
I retired in 2019. So I
Mhm.
spent 10 years in independent baseball because I never lost that desire to get back to affiliated baseball and then make it to the major
Mhm.
leagues.
Mhm.
But so it can happen.
Mhm.
And the thing is, a lot of times you go to independent baseball and it opens up all kinds of opportunities.
Mhm.
You can go play winter ball in Australia, Mexico,
Mhm.
Venezuela, the
Mhm.
DR. You get opportunities to go to Korea, Taiwan,
Mhm.
stuff like that. So there's plenty of opportunities. I don't want you guys to think that we're anti minor league baseball players. No, we're definitely pro, but we're pro the quality of the game without a doubt.
Mhm.
So uh, I think that's a good place to stop it with just we'll see where everything falls. We'll see
Yeah.
what
See what
Major
happens
League
this week. They got to make
Baseball.
a decision this week. If they want to start June 30th, it's got to be made this week because it's going to take them a week to get out there, get all their stuff together, get locked in. You're looking at 2 weeks before they start spring training. They're going to want at least 2 to 3 weeks of spring training to get arms, get a couple of, rotations with the pitchers. So they're going to have to start moving.
Oh, for sure. So I would expect us to be on episode 7 of the Cup of Coffee podcast talking
Talking
about
about the new
what's
plan,
going on
talking about the
in
new
Major League
deal.
Baseball.
Yep.
So if you're a minor league baseball player out there who got released, we definitely have sympathy for you. We've always been there. Definitely check us out at Prospect Dugout. We do try to provide the most opportunities for released and free agent minor league
Mhm.
players. For the Cup of Coffee podcast, this is episode 6. I'm your host, Craig Maddox, with my co-host, Joel Hartman, again at Hardy02 on Instagram and TikTok. We'll see you guys next week.
Adios. Thanks, Xavier. What's up, buddy?